Okay, this question is almost identical to the other question 1C that we've just done. It doesn't require a lot of work because you can do so much of it in the calculator. The work that they're showing on the schedule is because they're doing it by hand. So we'll go through the very basics of this first, is that we have two situations. We have picking and packing, and it talks about time for each, and we have a mean of 22.3 for the time for picking, and standard deviation is 3.1 minutes, and then we have 32.6 as the average minutes for packing, and a standard deviation of 5.3. And then we're trying to figure out the probability that the time spent picking the sweet corn is greater than time packing sweet corn. Very, very same question to the last one. It's a difference question because basically you're trying to figure out the probability, if you're going to deal with probability that picking is less, then the difference has got to be greater than 0. Same situation as before. The difference is got to be greater than 0 because if you're trying to figure out what the probability of time spent picking is greater, when it's greater, then it's actually got to be on the positive side of things. It can't be negative. So anyway, that's what we're trying to find. This is the situation. It's exactly the same as the last situation, and we're going to do it exactly the same. So again, we'll calculate the difference in the means. Difference of the means is simply 22.3 minus 32.6, which is negative 10.3. And that's the difference of the means. And it's important that you do it in this order because we're trying to figure out the probability that when picking is going to be bigger. And right now picking is less. So when we do the difference, the average of the difference is 10.3. Now remember, when you're dealing with standard deviation, so you need the difference of the standard deviation, you don't use the individual standard deviations. You've got to use this formula. So you're going to use variance of the two and then square root them. And that's what you do when you're trying to find the standard deviation in a combination type of question where you're adding or subtracting. So if we do that, and we take the square root of 3.1 squared plus 5.3 squared, then we get 6.14. So that's the standard deviation for the difference. And this, along with the negative 10.3, are going to be our parameters that we're going to put into the calculator and pull that up and do the work. Now, again, the whole idea here is that if you need to think about it in terms of normal distribution, oops, go away. We've got 10.3 as our mean, and we're basically trying to figure out when the difference is greater than 0. We're trying to figure out this probability here. So if you need it to visualize it, I mean that's what we're doing. And this is what you're trying to find. It's just at this point now a normal question that you put into your calculator. Okay, and so again we just go into distribution. Oops, it's going to be a bit tricky doing it from here. Let me do it from here. Standard distribution, go down to normal CDF. Now it's going to be greater than 0, so we'll start with 0 as our lower limit. And now you've got to select something that's reasonable for the upper limit. Now we don't have really big numbers here. We've only got in the 20s and so on, so you're not going to need to have an outrageously big number, but you could use, say, 500. And then comma. And then our mean is negative 10.3, and our standard deviation is 6.41, 6.14, sorry, 14. Oh, what have we got here? Sorry. Putting this in the wrong place. Let's do it again. Go down. Go in. 0. I'll put 500 in there, should be big enough, comma, negative 10.3, comma, 6.14. Voila, answer. There it is, 0.0467. So that's the probability that time spent picking is greater than the time spent packing. Not much time.